everybody, and welcome to Britain's Hidden History 109. Wow, and they said it would never last. Take it away, Leon. Oh, sorry for a slightly late start, a couple of technical problems. In fact, we're still having a couple of technical problems, but you'll be alright when he's there. If I can look on this screen for now, we've got Xavi in the chair, Leon playing. Gavin Lloyd, first on tonight. Diane Gavin. Brad Kemble, good to see you, Gavin. Looking forward to our next... Brad, sorry, looking forward to our next chat. Man, I've got so much on tonight's show. If I was any more excited, I couldn't sit down. It's going to blow up my head. And I should go on to that in a second. I'll just say a few hellos to give people a chance to log in. And if someone can say the sound's okay, please let me know. Oh, is the sound working? Because I can't tell. I think it is. Got a different microphone. The other microphone didn't work at all, so fun start. Right. Good evening, Gary. Susanna Price. Thank you, Leon. Andrew Whelan. Hey, it's good to see all the crowd there. Susanna, Jeff Jones, Marchell. Brilliant. Sounds great. Thank you, Jeff. Good to know. Right, now just going to give a little bit about the main sort of thrust, if you like, the main presentation of the evening. And if you watch this on catch-up, you can jump straight to it, because I will put the big caption card on the screen, which looks the same as the one. Hi, Julian. Hello, Graham, Tara. Good to see everyone's on board. The big thrust tonight is it's really getting to the crux of what we do on this channel, which is there's a big group of people, and it's great. I'm sort of pulling things together and presenting it from this end. Lots of people are doing great work and great research, and the big thing is about the history gets hidden from us. So this is Britain's hidden history. It's generally not destroyed, not yet, although the continuous battle goes on to stop it being destroyed. So a little bit about that, a short update on the wind farm thing, destroying another historical site, but hey, I will come on to that. So what I've noticed, though, is we have these main, Wilson and Blackett's a big part of our work here, and I work closely with them and help publish their books and all that kind of thing, making their knowledge available, and they present a lot of history, British history, which has been suppressed. It doesn't fit the political narrative. It's awkward, causes problems for whoever. All right, let's get into the politics too much. What we also get then is another writer, is Fomenko, which actually Mozanov did most of the research. What Fomenko's done really is take the earlier work, and then with these teams of Soviet scientists and mathematicians, tens of them, loads of comments, good, is they've looked at the whole world chronology, and they've managed to work out through their, quite convincingly I would say, through various methods, that the timeline that we're taught, what's called the Scaligerian, after Scaliger, the Scaligerian timeline is complete nonsense. All right, they claim hundreds of years, thousands of years have been inserted, and that many of the events that are considered ancient events, what's really happened is that more recent events, say Renaissance, have been copied and pasted back to create this ancient history, which, I'm not saying nothing happened, just that's not what we're told in history. Now this starts to tie in then with what Wilson and Blackett are doing with their writing, because they're showing another part of history which is hidden. And then the person I'll be reading this week, it's funny how I found a pad to write my notes up on the work of Comyns Beaumont, who wrote things like The Great Deception and The Riddle of Prehistoric Britain and various things, where he has a totally different history of Britain again. And one of the big things he shows is that the Bible, in his view, the Bible events happened in Britain almost exclusively. Things like current Edinburgh is the site of Jerusalem. And what his argument is then that in the 4th century under Constantine, the narrative, the story was moved nearer to his capital in Istanbul and into the Middle East, where it didn't bother anybody. A lot of these stories happen in deserts where there's no one around, which suited him much better politically than having this problem of Britain with its ancient history and tied in with religion and the first Christianity. So there's the three main writers you saw on the captions at the beginning. Now, what struck me was, in this group, you watching it and me and the people who follow this work, we're in a unique position and we have an advantage over all of those. Because Comyns Beaumont was writing back in the 1940s and 50s. So he was totally unaware of the work of Wilson and Blackett, particularly Alan Wilson. I know Wilson and Blackett hasn't really read any Comyns Beaumont, because I talked to him about it, and Wilson and Blackett's approach is always go back to the ancient documents. They're not really interested in what people like Fomenko might say or Comyns Beaumont. You all right? Yep, good, sounds okay. And then you've got the Russian crew, which don't seem aware at all of some of this alternative British history, or the things like the Mabinogi and the genealogies and the physical evidence that we look at. So we've got this strange situation where you've got three sort of forbidden histories in a sort of parallels, and they're all in little silos. Now, as anyone who's followed this for any time knows, my view is we need to get the information out there as quickly as we can. All the information I get, I share as fast as I can. We can't hog it. There's nothing to gain. There's just no point. By sharing the information, for all of us getting our own views, thinking about it, and there is some thinking involved tonight, we can do a lot better. And we can hopefully try and get a picture together. It's like if you're doing maths or physics, what's called a universal solution. So is there a way of tying together the work of Fomenko and Comyns Beaumont and Wilson and Blackett, and then the bits of Main Street that might fit in with that, and try and push them together? So it's a huge mind-bending thing, all right? We're just chugging along on that distance tonight, all right? That's kind of where my brain's exploding at the moment, trying to pull all these things together. And a lot of it you can, and a lot of it, well, we'll have a look at that later. That's the main thing, okay? So a few more hellos. Mandy McCourt, one of the queens of researching and finding information. Hello, Mandy. Hope everything's well. Susanna Price, great. Good turnout tonight. Good to see, loads of comments. Right. And thank you. Well, yeah, the title got me. And exactly what I was looking into. I've been for a while, and for some reason I just seem to be right with the hunches. There we go. That's Gary Tennyson. Welcome aboard, Gary Croiso. You'll be doing the same thing. Looking forward to seeing your comments. Right, okay. Where to start? Right, well, we got so much to cover. I'm going to have to dive straight in. Hello, Richard, as well. Good to see. I'm very sceptical of the Fomenko methodology. I must prefer the way Wilson and Blackett went about it. All right, I'd like to hear more about that. So I have to be able to see the comments tonight. So if you can manoeuvre it so it faces me a little bit more, so that you can still see as well. Can we just twist it a bit more? Oh, so much junk everywhere. That's the only thing with this desk. It's a beautiful desk, but it's not quite so big. Oh, wow, there we go. Look. Oh, and just like to also say as well, thank you for this week, the last video that went up, the Snake Cult Temple, because this snake worshipping and this whole thing ties in with religion and all of this. And it's got almost 2,000 views in 2 days, which is like, wow, it's a record. So I can see people love more site visits, and I got loads of stuff filmed, which would be as exciting like that. And we got some new quests coming up. And one thing I do want to mention, and I'd like some feedback, trying to get an idea about numbers, is actually Bob who suggested this, and a couple of other people, and I think it's a great idea. Hang on, so let me try to do something while I talk. Multitasking. Is that we've got a site, all right? It's not scheduled, it's not listed or anything like that, it's not recognised. As far as I think most people, if they're asked, or historians or something, they would just say it's probably nonsense. And the good thing is, assuming we can get permission from the landowner, which we're quite optimistic about, I think they're doing our own sort of like a dig, like a camp. It'd be good fun. Bob suggested we camp as well, and sleep over in some field. It's not in the middle of nowhere. It's right by a town. There's probably a pub within 100 yards or so. That's almost bound to be. So it's not the middle of the wilds, and it's in Gwent, to give you an idea. And I think a week in August, there'll be a chance for us to get together on an informal basis, and we're looking into the costs of getting ground penetrating stuff, some LiDAR equipment, and some drones that can scan to the ground, all this kind of thing. So please, not just put in the chat. If after we finish tonight, if you can come back to the programme, just click and go in the comments and say, yeah, that sounds great, I'd like to come along. I'm not going to hold you to it or anything, but Gwent's pretty central for everybody, I think. It's like having to go all the way to Newcastle, like the last get-together. Right, okay, so hopefully you can see that on screen. Yay, that's come up. All right, so there's the men there. Oh, sorry, this blinking thing. There's Comyns Beaumont on the left. Alan Wilson. I like that picture of Alan. Let's see if you recognise where that one comes from. That's a young Alan. Turned 90 years young. God, it's a week ago already, isn't it? Was it 2 weeks ago? No, 1 week ago. 1 week ago, Alan's birthday, wasn't it? Yeah. Time's flying by. And I think I've read 3 books this week, which has got to be a record. Because all 3 are quite big. I don't know. I just seem to be working on a faster speed at the moment. I think if you really get into this stuff, it's amazing. I think it reminds me of when, if you've got a deadline or you've got an exam to sit or something like that, and you have to be ready by a certain date. You just got to get it done. And if you're anything like me, you might have, say, homework to do over the summer holidays when you're at school. And you postpone it all holiday. You think, just get out the way. Won't have to worry about it. Nothing, you have to think about it. And then it always ends up, in my world anyway, that the last couple of nights before you go back, you've got to rush to get it done. Or you have to revise inside an exam. And I feel like every day feels like that at the moment. This is like this. We've got lots to do. This is forbidden histories, or I've got it forbidden tonight, or hidden histories becoming lost history and destroyed history. And we've got to get out. And all of us are only here for a finite number of years on this plane, so we're all just preparing for the next plane, as Hugh said. And that's the other thing. Hugh Evans and I might be doing a joint talk somewhere as well, so look out for that. Okay, so let's just go through a few of the other items first. Sorry, Comyns Beaumont, Alan Wilson, and Anatoly Fomenko. Right, okay, we got to those. Right, first story. This is the kind of initiative which makes me so happy, so wonderful, and I'll support and help Michael J Romanko. Wonderful man. We speak on the phone. He's over in America, and he's been following this North American Welsh newspaper called Ninnau, which incorporates a drach. All right. So, as you can read there, and it's all about Welsh history and Welsh newspaper. Not so much Welsh history, more about events in Wales and Welsh community in America. So it's great. And he got in touch with those, and somehow or other he managed to get them to. I just asked, I don't think there's anything manipulative about it. Will they run an article if I wrote it? So I wrote an article. Here's the front of the newspaper. It's a good, fun newspaper to have a look at. I get to read comments of it, so you can see the sort of thing. Eisteddfods in North America, brilliant. Don't see many of them in Wales even. Here are the announces winners going over to annual Eisteddfod 2022. The world president of the Welsh community. I didn't even know we had a world president, but there we go. Wales reach World Cup finals for the first time since 1958. That's the football. So it's all that kind of stuff, all right? Now what they have, this drach is the literary section. And look at that. Ta-da! First page, the literary section is how America got its name. It's Welsh. So I thought I'd try and do an article about the Welsh-English connection. We've got the King Arthur conspiracy book, of course, which talks about the Welsh migration to North America in, it's a bit blurry, in the 6th century. I don't know if you can read that. Anyway, get the book. The book's available through the website, as are all the Wilson and Blackett books, and a few other titles and other things like maps and T-shirts and mugs and presents for those people who got everything, all right? So it's good. All this kind of thing, it's like, cause what we really need is a massive advertising campaign that would cost hundreds of thousands of pounds we don't have. Articles are free. So if you've got any contacts, I can help supply copy, or you can write something, whatever, yeah? So well done, Michael. Thank you for that. Oh, a donation. Thank you very much. Look at that. Zav, good donation. Ooh. Thank you very much, Mr. and Mrs. Shermanator. Thank you. Right, okay, so here we go. Yeah, if you could become a member or something, all that helps, because we've got so much to do. And this doesn't make any money, I can assure you that. Right, wind farm factory update. Kilvarny consultation. All right, there is a petition going. If you're not aware, you should be able to keep this very short because we've got so much history to go through tonight. This is one of many wind farms that are being put, I would say, haphazardly, willy-nilly, flagrantly across the hills of Wales and the West Country primarily. Maybe that's because the way the wind comes, or if you look at Comyns Beaumont, it could go all the way back to ancient times where the west of Britain is different for different reasons. You go to Wilson and Blackett's time, where it's the old Britons getting screwed again. Whichever way you look at it, they're blasting their way through. And what we're trying to do is at least, even if we can't stop this, which seems difficult to stop. Excuse me 1 second. Sorry, I have got the video ready. I just need to find the folder. Oh, can you just Got a bit noisy around the back there. Right, sorry, 1 second. Getting a bit distracted at the moment. There's a lot of chatter going on behind me. It's Father's Day, a lot of excitement today. There we go. Right. Where is it? There it is. Right, okay. Sorry, let's just make sure it's not too loud.
Here I am at Kilvine Rugby Club, which is the scene of public consultation, 16th June 2022. It's all about the proposed wind farm up on Eglwys and Common. I've got no idea what...
You can't see it. Thank you, Zav. I can't have me in the corner as well. Is it 4, isn't it? Gosh, I'll be so excited. Yes, there we go. All right, so this is the first consultation. As you can see, I'm outside Kilvine's Rugby Club. There are 2 more next week. And I put those dates up. I've been ambushed. The show's been ambushed. Oh, there we go. Hang on a second. It's Father's Day. Look at that special. Look at that. It's my birthday. Special Father's Day cake. Ta-da! As you know, Arnie's a Formula 1 nut, and there is a race on. There we go. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you. There we go. The Welsh. Look at that. Welsh dragon cake. Try and keep it family friendly on a Sundays. Remember that in the comments as well, okay? Thank you very much. Do you make that, G?
Yeah, I made this one. I helped on this one.
Wow, fantastic. Yep, we'll have some cake then, please. There we go. Right. Slight interruption there. Some consultations. It's going to be all over Eglwys, Side, St Gennydd. There's massive of ancient history up there, okay? There's cairns. And for this group, the work of Wilson and Blackett, what's particularly important is up there is the standing stones and stones that are moved around, forming different stars. And between them, you can work out the zodiac. So the positioning of the stones is really important. It might just look like a stone. It's not carved or it's got the cut marks or anything. It's the arrangement. This is why putting up a wind farm up there is so disastrous. And it's so difficult to explain to them that, yeah, they look like stones, but where they are is the key. Like we got 3 stones together, could be the Polaris stone, that kind of thing, you know. So we need to do the research as fast as we can before it gets built over. There's only a couple of clips. It's not the full video. All right, Leon filmed this. Thank you for that. It's just a short few minutes.
Right, hello, here I am at Kilvine Rugby Club, which is the scene of public consultation, 16th June 2022. It's all about the proposed wind farm up on Eglwys and Common. I've got no idea what to expect. So let's go and have a look. Get them registered. And this is one of the problems we've got, because there's a lot of rock art, there's standing stones, which aren't on the database. I'm not sure if they've actually been covered as far as your analysis is concerned. And I can't really get any detail on that.
So our heritage experts, as well as looking at what's already available, then...
There's going to be a new on-site...
I'm sorry, we get an echo for some reason.
Nothing like this set.
This is really annoying, because I think what's happening is it's being picked up by my speakers, my microphone, as I broadcast it. I can't really turn the microphone off, and I daren't unplug it. So what I'm going to do, I'll turn the volume off. Sorry about this. I haven't had this problem before. Must be the change of microphone or something. It's been all technical problems tonight. All right, anyway, just to give you an idea, I was in there chatting. Here's the maps. They're showing they've moved around the what they actually say is so important. Although there's 3 things that are on here and recorded. I do need to broadcast those. How am I going to get around this? I haven't had this problem before. I'll try and cover up the microphone, shall I? Hang on a second, let's see if that works. Right.
That's very infrastructurised. Yeah. So this is why I feel a bit funny.
So just to go back to your previous
conversation. Yeah.
What the guys are doing, so our heritage experts, they're doing putting everything together, inputting into the infrastructure design now. So again, as Matt said, very much things like using the existing breaks in the St Gennydd Dyke for access, so we don't create a new break. Then that will all get fed into the environmental assessment that attaches to the planning application. So there'll be a massive document and there'll be a specific heritage chapter that will set out the sort of standard way of assessing. Stop me if you know all of this.
No, carry on. No, I'm just curious to why it's coming out. Yeah. When do you think that'll happen then?
So we're planning our statutory consultation in sort of August, September time. Still yet to be sort of absolutely finalised. So there'll be a full ES available then. So there'll be the assessment chapter, but there'll also be the appendices. And I think that's probably what you're going to be really interested in, because they'll have their desk-based assessment, but then also their site survey information, and it will include the magnetometry survey information. Anything they found will be on there. All of the sort of baseline information that they.
So with the magnetometer, will it give the full thing will be available, like a LiDAR, like you can just look at it and look for the markings in the ground, that kind of thing.
Yeah, they focused in on the infrastructure areas, so it's the areas where, from feedback from the Archaeological Trust, they identified.
What we'd like to see is the whole scan that comes back, rather than just the localized scans.
If it's a LiDAR scan, that is something that also we'd look at basically for an area, because we know what in very great detail any areas that would be affected are free of any significant asset or any assets at all, or any archaeology that they've seen. At a later time, you'd also have the option, and this is something we're looking at as part of the package for development of the site, is a full LiDAR scan across the whole site, and that would include, and that's for the aim of understanding, improving interpretation, improving the availability of that information for anyone to understand.
I think when I tried to work it out, I think about 98% of the damage is not the turbines, it's the infrastructure.
Access tracks do impact, especially heritage. That's absolutely archaeology, which is why there's all this survey work.
The dots by themselves aren't a lot of use. This is the point I'm trying to make, because we've done our own now, had surveys, and we look at the probable routes and that kind of stuff.
I suppose maybe you're a step ahead of other people, and when we come for the full consultation, all of that information will be available alongside the assessment that says, based on where we think the access tracks are going and the crane pad height. When can I say that? There'll be the full assessment of the impact of that on the heritage assets.
So will the maps show the roads?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So what's that? September.
Yeah.
Right, you heard that? I'm just going to repeat that, and hopefully the people from the developers are watching this.
When can I say that? There'll be the full assessment of the impact of that on the heritage assets.
So will the maps show the roads?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So what's that? September.
Yeah, sort of August, September we're looking at.
August, September.
Likely September.
We'll be in contact with you about it as well. So you'll
cool. Well, if the roads are beyond it, it'll be August, September. That's good, and the pads as well.
Yeah.
So the infrastructure will be present.
Yeah, definitely. You'll see looping.
Oh, that's good to know.
That's absolutely.
Because we've got quite a lot lately. Tell me if there's so much wealth of information here. There's a whole settlement and everything, and I don't think any of it's.
Right, okay. So there was a few things on there important. Like I said, the one not everything's on that video. I was there about. Leon and Zav came with me, didn't he? Yeah, good boys. They sat through that 45 minutes. Excuse me. Yes, there is a link in the description. So you can do it now. You can open another window on your browser and just sign it. It takes about 20 seconds. It's very easy to sign. So you've already got the 250, which means it has to be recognised at the committee stage and that kind of thing. It'd be great to get to 10,000, and they have to actually discuss it in the Senedd. But we are trying to get in touch with the various politicians at different levels, councillors, AMs. If you can contact anybody, just ask them questions about it, because this will be coming to a hill near you, as they say. I was going to do another song. You know, you got my turbine song. I was going to do another song, and it's going to be called, because I got a lot of friends in Abercynon, where my family comes from, and it's going to be, the song's going to be called, If You Tolerate This, Then Abercynon Will Be Next. Will be next, will be next, will be next. See if you recognise the tune if you know anything about Welsh music. So there you go. No, but it's going to come everywhere, and it's ridiculous. Wales already produces double the renewable energy it uses. If you watch the video that goes with the petition, you can see what a nightmare it is. It's just destroying. It's nothing to do with saving the planet, all right? We all want to save the planet. I've got children, everything like that. If I thought this was going to save the world and stop global warming or whatever it's called these days, I'd be 100% behind it, and I have to put up with the windmill things, the turbines and the cables and all the devastation, all the slaughtering of wildlife, and the fact they'll be there forever, but it's not, okay? So more coming on that soon, and please do your bit and talk to people. Okay, right. Okay. Right, now then. Oh, hang on. It's gone 2 to a page. That's weird. How did that happen? Let's go into a bit more history. Last week, if you saw... the likelihood is any negative impact will be ignored. Yeah, signing in hope. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Hang on. Before we go into that, I do want to say the 3. I would consider them concessions. All right, but I've spoken to people involved in this. It's we've got to hold them to it, and I put it in writing. It's one of the reasons I wanted to show the video clip as well. 3 very important things. One, as you heard, the lady there was very nice, very friendly. They tend to put the more junior people out, unfortunately. They haven't got the answers to the real questions I want, like the archaeology and like where the roads are going to go and all that. But they were good, all right? They tried their best. It was a good meeting. And I stayed very calm. I was very pleased with myself. And the 3 big things. The first one you heard then is that come August, she said, the map will be produced that will show all the roads and the turning points and the platforms for the cranes and all that kind of thing. So you get a better idea of the full impact of what is going to happen. And a huge thing I just did not expect to have was that they guaranteed that it would be open access during the work, that we will be able to go up there and we'll be able to watch health and safety and distances, whatever. We can watch where they're digging and what they're doing and to make sure they're doing it properly. I'm getting this confirmed in writing because it's really, really important. And whatever the third one was. What was the third one, Sav? What was the third big thing they promised us? Oh, I got it all recorded anyway.
Architect, like this, watching.
That's right, we could watch it, wasn't it? Yes, that's right. Oh, they're going to slowly scrape. Yes, yeah. Savvy made a great comment after the meeting. So why do all these people seem like presenters off CBeebies? I do have a habit of talking as everyone's 5-year-old, but there we are. They're trying to be nice, so let's try a charm approach. Because I did lose it a bit last November. Calm. That's not good. Not very druidic, you know. Got to be more intellectual, charming about it. By the way, we watched last night as a family. What was that film called, Zev? Our family film time last night. Watched Asterix. And was it Asterix and the Magic Potion, isn't it? Is Asterix and the Magic Potion the one we watched last night?
Asterix and the Secret of the Magic Potion.
Oh, Asterix and the Secret of the Magic Potion, which I highly recommend. And it's all about druids. And it did make me laugh. It's very funny. Very, very funny. And there's quite a bit of quite clever knowledge hidden in there. But anyway, let's see what we can spot. Right, okay, let's get back to the main things because I'm waffling on. Right, so this, if you remember last week, doing a thing about Hadrian's Wall, I'm going to put together a separate film about this with Bob. And there on the right is a young Bob. I should zoom in so you can see him. Look at that, man. There we are, you see. That's what young Bob was like. Looking very, very hunky and fit and climbing and all that. And he played number 8, first-class rugby as well. The kind of person I'd spend my life dodging as he come to try and flatten me. Now, the picture on the left is a viaduct. Now, what we're trying to get to, and this does tie in when we're talking about the stuff later with Comyns Beaumont and all that, particularly Comyns Beaumont, is this this idea that everything's Roman, okay? And the crown jewels are Hadrian's Wall. It's one of the crown jewels. And we're going up thinking, how old is the wall? Who built it? How do they know what's been done? And last week I was quite shocked because I've, researching through it, found that quite a bit had been what they call restored by a bloke called Crowley in 1830s. So a lot of the wall that people go and look at and go, oh wow, it's amazing, was effectively built in the 1830s because there was nothing much to see there. All right. God, there's young Bob. Look at that with hair. It looks exactly the same on a different dog. That's not the current dog. There he goes. There's a section of the wall. You look at that. This is one of the wider parts. Some great photos. Oh, there's a better picture. Bob and the dog, 1986. My goodness. So again, on this one's interesting because you can see there's got the dig away part is on the north side. Some is on the south side. So again, that makes no sense. Now, thank you very much to Sally, who sent me this book, which is absolutely fantastic. Bendigedig, and I've had a thoroughly good time. It's packed with photographs and all the ideas about what goes on, different sections, what they all did it, and it's just fascinating to read this book. And it's written in a really authoritative tone, and you got the tome, and you got these pictures like that. Yeah, you can see that, which looks amazing. And this is, but the more you look into it, it's just imagination. It's complete flight of fantasy. There is no actual. If I put that on top screen, there's no real evidence to back up these things. Like those pictures, they're just visions. And what's happened in the 1830s, they've come along and they've had this vision of what they want Hadrian's Wall to look like. There's a rich Victorian, and he's what is called restored. He clear first and restore, so whatever remains of a wall you find. So any archaeology done on this wall now is pretty much useless. And the thing is, as you look at the wall more, what you'll find is that it's all supposition. So if I go along there and I think, hang on a second, why is the wall wider at the bottom than the top, and why is there a gap, and what's this bit at the back? And I try and work out a picture where it is, and you think, well, that's not very scientific. What do the experts say? No, that's exactly what the experts say. They go and have a look and work it out. And I'm desperately trying to find archaeological reports in the last 200 years, and it's bizarre that there don't seem to be very many, and Bob can't find them either. You get what they, finds. They love finding anything and calling it Roman. You find a shoe or something, or a bit of stone with a couple of letters on it. It's all Roman, but there's no reason to think it actually is. I know it sounds crazy. Like things like Augustus II is supposed to be when the legion's up on there. Well, that seems like a British thing. It was based in Wales. The troops were local. The commanders are local. And it's under a British king. What's Roman about it? The whole thing doesn't make sense. It's be interesting to see what Comyns Beaumont thinks about some of this as well now. Hang on a second. Yeah, the Antonine War is the same. Yeah, another one. Very difficult to find out more information about it. I don't trust these wokey environmentalists or anything to do with the authorities. Much ways of producing renewable power. Yeah, it's a bit of a scam, but there we go. Right, George Bodley. I did read somewhere it was originally built of earth, but cannot confirm. Right, assume you're thinking of Hadrian's Wall. Yeah, I should give a little bit of background to this, because first of all, it shouldn't be called Hadrian's Wall. It was completed 100 years at least after Hadrian, even by the mainstream conventional histories, under the rule of Severus. And Severus was a British king who took control of the empire. So what's Roman about him, really? But there you go. And originally it was an earth bank. The curious thing is, the more you look into this earth ditch, the vallum as they call it, is which came first. And if reading this book's been fascinating, and I'll try and do a more detailed video just on this. I don't want to talk too much about Hadrian's Wall again tonight. We're deciding which came first, the bank or the wall, and why the bank's there, and none of it makes sense, mainly because they're guessing. But it gets worse. It gets worse. I can't believe the scandal of this, okay? So here's some more fantastic shots in the 80s. You can see it's in better condition than it is now, because these walls don't last very long. All right. The other thing here, one of the things Bob's showing. Oh, is my face blocking it? Oh, hang on, you can't see, Sav. Right, okay, sorry. So there's back to Bob. Okay. Then you see the walls going up there. And then people look at this and they try and work out why is that there and why is this there. And they try and this is an example of Roman-style stone laying. None of that's true. This is a flight of fantasy by a Victorian gentleman, okay? Like a lot of what we're told is now facts. And a lot of the stone area is a road built supposedly in the 18th century to deal with the 1745 Jacobite uprisings up in Scotland. Yeah, so as Marcell's saying there, really it's Severus's Wall. Neil Oliver, oh God, did a great documentary on the Romans arriving. We'd already established before they got here. He was in Bath, very fascinating video. Yeah, Neil Oliver, unfortunately, that was a bit of and he's done a lot of interesting stuff lately, but he still trots out the BBC line. And what we're questioning on this channel is, did the Romans come here at all? And if they did, what did they do? Is any of this stuff Roman? There doesn't seem to be any evidence. The whole thing looks like a bit of it's the Disney effect. The wall's been Disneyfied. The whole Roman thing. People get so excited. Anything that's found gets declared Roman before the research is done. Another example last week was a flat stretch was found in the Preseli Hills in deepest West Wales, And immediately the professor from Oxford says, the people in Wales will be going crazy, we found a Roman road. It's like it's just a bit of flat ground. What makes you think it's Roman? The roads were there before, the area was occupied before. Same with this, you've got the routes of the great walks, like the Ermine Street Walk and Watling Street. Antonine Beaumont shows very convincingly in his work that all those predate the Romans. And Fomenko shows that Rome was nothing more than a fishing port until medieval times. So wherever it was, people who came here, they probably weren't Romans. This is part of the mystery. What Bob's done here is just show that the weird thing is, on the left is generally how the wall's supposed to have been imagined, whereas it's by Crowley, is that the fort is behind the wall, which doesn't really help you much for defending. You can't see my cursor. Here it is, and it appeared again. Because it limits your possibilities, whereas you put a fort like there, like a salient, or what's the proper word? Anyway, it's a tower. There's a word for it. I used to know castles pretty well. You get the advantage of shooting in all different directions with the arrows and all that kind of stuff stuck in your spears and things. And I would argue, if you look at the real forts and castles, the road actually passes through the fort. Because the problem here is, how do you get in and out of the fort, and how do you man the walls and that kind of thing. You also need access stairs coming up. But there was no point in doing this detailed analysis that we had planned, and we were drawing these maps and everything, and we were exchanging theories about where the joins in the walls were and who looked after what, because, as you'll find, most of it was rebuilt in the 1830s, and it gets worse. Here's the famous sycamore gap. There's a sycamore tree. Again, there's a way in and out. Why isn't there a major fortress covering this? We showed last week the Pennine Way went straight through. Isn't it beautiful, that beautiful tree? And this is the funny bit. This is from the Daily Mirror in the 1950s. And they worked extensively rebuilding the walls. And one of the curious things is, a lot of the work that was done in the 1830s had already fallen down. It's only 120 years later. It was falling down, they had to put it back up again. So the idea that there's a wall there for 2,000 years is just absolutely ridiculous. And even if the Romans did have a hand in building some of it, they were one of many people who would have been building it before and after where they came. Yes, the British were paving roads at least 100 years before the Romans got here. Yeah, and also got this is one of the few bits of archaeology done in Wales. Wales is well beyond the moon as far as archaeologists are concerned. And if you look in there, there's an example of paved roads and all that kind of stuff. And that's around Lodge Hill, where Arthur's Court's supposed to be. Oh. There we go. So I'll be doing more on that dig as well. So this is 1950s. Hang on, which I find quite hilarious. There we are. Boys pausing for a short break as they walk along the wall. And I have to say, looking at the map, and this, you can't defend a wall this length. The idea is just ludicrous. I think if anything, this is a path, same as it is today. There's a road running from the east coast to the west coast, because you've got to get your goods and stuff across. Now, if you go back to Comyns Beaumont, he talks about Britain being ancient Atlantis, and that Britain went out much further to the west, and possibly as far down as Iberia, Spain and Portugal. But you'd have had a much more commerce going west, a much larger area now below the sea to the west of Ireland. They are proudly rebuilding these walls. So if anyone thinks they're going up there to see how Romans built walls, they are going to be disappointed. Let's put it politely. This is how people from Britain in the last 200 years think the Romans might have built a wall and built it that way. Brilliant, isn't it? And this is the south face of Hadrian's Wall, photographed in the 1950s when it had just been exposed. Oh, so that would imply some of that is genuine then. Oh no, this is the one where it's exposed. Here we go. I think the titles have slipped a bit there. So you might see something like this. You might see a few layers underneath loads of, as you'd expect to see an ancient wall, a bit more like that. But you can't look at that and say, oh, it's definitely Roman, can you? And then the great thing was, hang on, I thought it was here. Yeah, they did it again in the 1980s. And, I haven't got the report loaded up. It'll be part of the film I'll do on this. Bob also found the most recent was this week gets absolutely bizarre, was in 2015. A big part of the wall was what they call restored. So they clear it away and they build it back up as they think it should look. And then you put a museum next to it and you charge 20 quid to have a look and call it Roman. Anyway, there you go. Excuse me getting a little bit cynical. All right, just a couple more little bits of stories. How far are we doing? Oh my God, 5 to 9. I'm going to crack on. All right, we haven't got time to look at this perhaps. We have to quick look. I just want to make just a point quickly. We cover some of the history as we go. All right, here's one of the stories. This came through today. Thank you for this one. I'll find the name who sent me this. I think it was Dean. So this one they're going to do to Caerphilly Castle. This massive greenhouse horrendous thing right in the middle of the castle as you walk in. The bridge is going to get renewed. The Disneyfication of British history continues. Like Hadrian's Wall's been Disneyfied. Caerphilly Castle's Disneyfied. Oh, actually, look at the angles. Dunk, dunk, dunk. I think might be that hill there is where the real Welsh castle is, where Morgraig is. I might be over there, actually. The prop, which is just left to rot, you can hardly get to it now. I will be going there this week, but it's kind of chained up and difficult to get to. So I shall try and get in there. And they're going to spend millions. It's going to be fantastic. You'll be able to have this kind of ghastly thing. Whereas what we usually do, we have our Cadw cards. You can pop in. For years when I was young, you just wandered in for free. Take your sandwiches, have a picnic, just enjoy the castle. It's going to be like this now. I'm sure it's wonderful. Yeah, there you go. So that's where the money goes, folks, promoting invader castles, foreign history, not the actual British history. Okay. Let's just go through here. Oh, yeah, that's on the next one. Okay, I do need to crack on, though. Hang on a second. Oh, yeah, the Britain's news channel. Yeah, I'll just cover it quickly here. Wales tourism bosses, I'll put the link up later, told it needs to get away from... can you go straight to it? Oh, yes, it can. Brilliant. Here we go. I don't watch any TV, really, but GB, thank you for this story that was sent to me. Wales tourism bosses told it needs to get away from sheep rugby and weather. It's got to rebrand itself. We've got Zip World. We've got all sorts of fun stuff. And what's amazing, you can take your time looking at this. There's the whiskey place, all that kind of thing. Get away from sheep. Look at this. I just realised. Get away from sheep, rugby and weather. First story, sheep. Second story, rugby. Got weather? Yay! This article exactly says what not to do. It does. All right, theme parks and fun and games. There's no mention. Even on the one saying we need to change our approach, none of it mentions history or our proper history. It's not there. Bizarre, isn't it? They're saying overshadowed by Scotland, Ireland, England due to comparatively weak brand. Yes, darling.
Do you know how you unblock people on this?
Unblock?
Yeah, because I only blocked someone, like Monica, I think, and just, what's it called?
No, Monica's there. No, Luke was the one who got blocked, and I've unblocked him. You should be able to get back on.
No, what's it called? The other account.
Oh, right, what's got that account? Anyway, Mona Wildflower. Okay. Yeah, are we good to go back into community afterwards and unblock it? Okay. It's difficult during the show. All right, I'll go through those and get rid of those unblocks. All right, so this is the kind of crazy world we live in, even when they're doing this. Talking about don't just show sheep and rugby, they just show sheep and rugby. And a picture of the Lake District. That's not even a picture of Wales, is it? Hang on. Thousands of objections. Oh, look at this quickly. Yeah, another thing I was showing was that there was an objection the other day. Things do get pushed away and cancelled and things. So they've got 7,000 signatures. We've got 450 to protect our bits. All right. So what's this? They don't want a roller coaster ride. So you're going to put a roller coaster there, as well as high rope zip lines, all the usual rubbish. There's fun fairs dying. There's coastal resorts need all this. It's going to be a roller coaster theme park. So I tell you, sign this petition. Let's just at least put a blinking blocker in, you know what I mean? Let's just make life a bit difficult for them, because they have to at least pretend we got some sort of democratic process when it comes to redeveloping all these sites, okay? That's what we're trying to do. You know, I doubt very much. It'll be very impressive if we stop it. Let's put it that way, okay? Oh, yeah, another story. My goodness, there's so much. Right, we got this one here, being on the Gosford glyphs. So thank you, Brother Browd's been in touch with me. But the real hero of this one is Sospen Bach, as he comes on the chat. I haven't seen him tonight. He must be there all the way from Australia. He hasn't been very well. He's got a foot injury. He can hardly walk, and he drove. And I've been going on and on for ages saying I want pictures and videos of Gosford cliffs. because there's supposed to be Egyptian hieroglyphs on Australia. There's a big controversy about it, whether or not they're genuine. Some of them clearly are more recent fakes. There's people over there like Steve Strong and Evan Strong, his son. They're working on proving it's an Aboriginal source for hieroglyphs, all this kind of thing. But what no one's doing is producing a decent set of pictures or video where you can see the whole thing and try and translate it yourself. Because I'm sure you're aware, anyone watching this, I had the book out earlier. You see, I wrote in this book, Hieroglyphics, which is how to read hieroglyphs using the Welsh language, as worked out by Wilson and Blackett. All I've done is put into an easy-to-use format, which has a dictionary in the back. So when you got something like that on the screen, what you do is you look up the logo or the symbol, the glyph in the dictionary, and it'll tell you which page to go, and then you can see the definition of what it means and how you got to it. So to help sort out whether or not this is a fraud, and also to try and work out what these hieroglyphs say, what the story is, so asking for decent pictures. And Sospenvark, I think he bumped into someone who's there who made the video. He didn't make this video. He just sent me a load of photographs. Oh, this guy can actually jump out of the presentation. That's really handy. So, yeah, so as we sort of watch this person, I don't think any sound or anything. Someone's done this. It's just exactly what I wanted. So 6 minutes, you can have a look yourself. Yeah, you can really get in close. You see, so if we're looking at that one there, well, I recognise him anyway, but I'll just see that's actually I'm not so sure now. It was the scales originally. There you go. So if we look, I don't think it's picked that up. That's that hieroglyph there. You can look it up in the dictionary, and that will tell you then. The Welsh, this is the weighing scales, or it's balanced, that's the scales. So the Welsh word is puis, which gives the intended word puiso, which is to weigh or consider or to put in good order. Alright, so they put something in good order, and you go through the whole thing. That's a mouth, roch, like Rossi. So you're pronouncing, and to keep, so you're keeping the speech, and you can go through the whole thing, you just read it. All these are words, every one. And I have to say, this only came through today, I haven't read all of it. But it really seems to read well, apart from the odd bit. Like, I don't know what that's meant to be, and if that's meant to be an Aboriginal thing, or it's just a random thing, these little stick men and stuff. I think someone's had a bit of a go at it. And what you also see, you'll notice there's one of my favourite hieroglyphs right there, which is very apt for this. Because this is 3 hills, alright? My favourite one. It was on the first edition, it was on the back of the book. I put the Ramses thing on the back this time. Because this is great. Because in Welsh, what you have, let's make that a bit bigger. In Welsh, the 3 is tree. Alright, un, dau, tree. Bit like French, un, deux, trois, un, dau, tree. Tree. And a mountain is a mynydd. So tree, mynydd, 3 hills. Trydydd is an explorer. That's how it works, it's simple. This is a beetle, obviously, which is chwilio, and chwilio then is to search or to seek. So you can start to read a story then, you see. So you can read this, and there's a welcome, the cross. Although Fomenko seems obsessed with every cross being signs that Christianity predates the pyramids. A little bit about that later. There's so much. I could do a 6-hour show every day this week, wouldn't cover it all. So just trying to give snippets and feelers and try and do some follow-up videos. But also the books are coming out. Next book about pyramids, why they were built, how they were built, that's coming out. I've got to take a sidetrack about the pyramids. I'm going to just slight detour. It's very relevant. And if you remember, 2 or 3 years ago during the lockdowns, I had a theory about how I thought the pyramids are built, how they could do it. Do you remember that stuff? We were going to build a pyramid in the garden. Do you remember we were going to build a pyramid in the garden during the lockdowns? Because I worked out that I could move the... We wouldn't make huge stones, but it'd still be like a ton or two, just using... I mean, you were about 7 or 8 at the time. So I have a couple of 8-year-old boys and a 10-year-old boy, plus myself, would build a pyramid in our last garden, because I'd worked out a way of doing it. And shifting these large stones and all that. And then the shock horror... Well, good job I didn't, because I read buried away in the back of volume 5 of Fomenko on page 500 and something where most people had given up long before they got there, there's a guy giving a very, very similar theory to how I explain the pyramids and the chemistry and how to do it, all that. So that's going to come up. That might be next week's. Build your own pyramid, folks. Right. So anyway, a cross, croeso, is a cross in Welsh is croes, which gives us croeso, same word, croeso. So welcome, to speak, roch, that's a mouth, so welcome speech. So the explorers gone in search of a welcome to speak, and then see this, I think that's a body on a bed or something there. I can't see all of them, but anyway, there's plenty here that can be read. And if some of the carving looks a bit crude to other hieroglyphs, there's a really important reason. And another thing I've got to get back to, because I've been leaving the Egyptian stuff lately in the hieroglyphs, so much else going on. But one of the things I am now convinced, I've been convinced for a long time, that the Rosetta Stone is a fake. It's been deliberately faked. And now, and I had my suspicions based on appearance and content, and I've worked out something. I had one of those moments, light bulb moment this afternoon. I was like so excited how I think I can prove it's not genuine. And it all ties in with how pyramids are built as well, and how hieroglyphs are done. So look out for that next week, okay? Anyway, thank you very much for this. It's a brilliant video, so I will put the link up. I hope people are going to have a look at it. Like this, for example, this doesn't look right to me. And this sort of Batman type owl doesn't look right to me. So there's a few things on here do look different. They could be ancient, it could be Aboriginal, they could be recent hoaxes. There's all sorts of things they could be. You know, if you spend a lot of time looking at them, you get a feeling, and this, I know, it just looks wrong. So I don't know what's going on exactly there. Here's some. Now this. I just want to show this quickly, because also David took tons of photographs, which I'll probably share next week now because we're running behind schedule. Again, they're fantastic. I got Michael Tomblin is working on the case using the dictionary, and he's doing the graphics to show it all translate. It's all coming together. Things are getting very exciting. Now this I want to show because if this is a fake, because a lot of people say it's a forgery, right? If someone did fake this, they know quite a lot about hieroglyphs that you might not expect people to know if they hadn't read this book, which only came out 2-3 years ago, or they hadn't read Wilson and Blackett's Moses in the Hieroglyphs, where he reveals how he worked this out. It came out in 2005, I think it was. So something clever here. Now this is one. This is great, because you've got hang on a second, these are called prenoms. I'll just get a picture of that very combination. It's amazing. It's all the way over in Australia, and you can see the ones that are in the books. Come on, titles and descriptions, here we go. Yeah, I'll just give you an idea. You can oh, no, the video went back. That's not meant to happen. If you looked, oh golly gee, because I pressed the 1 to change the screen thing. I got to find it again now. What you'll see there, blasters. Right, okay. I'm going to find it on the video again. Every time I press a screen change, it jumps on the video. All right, anyway, so what do you have there anyway is the beholder message. Okay, so it looks like the place. Come on. Where are you? Yeah, this bit we can read. Okay. All right. Anyway, it's the same. It's the same as you get in other hieroglyphs, and they're prenoms, and they are important. All right. So I'm going to do it again now. Here's a great one, because this is the snake Nidir. So this Ni means not, the opposite, Ni, and then this is life sign, Ankh. So we go in from left to right, judging by the way they're pointing. It's not so obvious, but the snake's head is that way. So we start from this side. Not, and then this is the Tichin lap, the cake, you are, and that is to keep, novio, to swim, to swim or to float. So this is quite interesting because you are alive, not your life. Your life you are not to keep. It's how I would read this. And sure enough, there's someone who looks like they are dead on some sort of bed. And this, you're only too rude of mind to work out what that is. So that represents a man. Let me just say that, okay? That's good for a man, all right? I'm not sure what the bit up there is. And then this is the scented cistern. So you got the scent. And then this is the mattress of this place. That's a genius to keep. So they're keeping the genius of this place. Or it might be a triple word, actually. Could that work? And then beautiful. So you can read these as sentences, all right? Anyway, so just want to say thank you to David Sosman Bach. And I've rambled over it, so I can't... show all the photographs, but thank you very much. I have downloaded them and going through them. Gosford. Right, that's where I am a bit now. Right, okay, let's get back to the main... we have never really left it. You know, these things do ramble a bit. Okay. Right, Comyns Beaumont. Okay, actually, I'm going to start. Who is Comyns Beaumont, first of all? I don't know if many people read his books. One of the things I would point out about him is that his books are incredibly difficult to get hold of. Apart from The Great Deception, and another one I've got, which is on the way, I think it's Britain in the sense of Britain's history, but the other ones you can't get, and you can't get them at Gyan as PDFs. I can't find them anywhere. If anyone can find them, I would love to you can lend me a copy or something. Just want to quickly say about him, William Comyns Beaumont. He's always known as Comyns Beaumont. And yeah, you can see it on screen. Good. The first thing which always makes me a little bit nervous, he was a journalist first of all, and he worked for the Daily Mail, so it doesn't give him great independent standing. Daily Mail, he's 82 years old, writer, journalist, lecturer, editor. Very interesting relatives, these authors like Daphne du Maurier, who I think wrote the book Emma, which is about a second wife moving in with a husband who's still in love with his dead wife who was called Emma. And curiously, I think his wife was called Emma. They're a bit of a creepy family in some ways if you look at their books and that kind of stuff. But anyway, let's not get into all that kind of stuff. Now, Muriel, where does Emma come into it? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Right, so this is you got to remember, when Wikipedia tends to be quite disparaging about non-mainstream positions and their writers. It's like the ad hominem attacked the writer rather than the message necessarily. Actually, there's a bit of chat there. I need to catch up a bit. No, it's okay. Odd thing. Marcell's Abraham's channel. Yeah, come on, Marcell, put some more videos up. It's been ages. Right. So anyway, facts and fallacies. Right. Beaumont's views are summarised in the Reader's Digest as follow. In a series of books between 1946 and 49, British journalist William Comyns Beaumont astonished the world with the following extraordinary revelations. Right, here we go. If you put them all in one big block, it does sound a bit ridiculous, but let's go through it, okay? Jesus of Nazareth was crucified just outside Edinburgh, Scotland, which is the site of Jerusalem. Okay? This gets interesting. Satan was a comet that collided with the earth and caused Noah's flood. Now that ties in very closely Wilson and Blackett's work. And one of the interesting things they mention, the other person I could have put on the caption picture is Velikovsky and his theories of catastrophism. And what that amounts to is that changes in history don't happen gradually. And the climate and things like that don't happen gradually. The changes happen because of major catastrophes, usually because of things from outside the Earth, like a comet or a near miss with another planet. All these kind of things cause jolts in the Earth and cause massive changes, floods, ruptures, disasters, all that kind of thing. And Velikovsky tied ancient stories and myths and legends, such as, for example, in the Trojan War, when they talk about Mars, and the god Mars and the goddess Venus are actually fighting over the battlefield. What he's saying is that's a reference to the planet Mars and the planet Venus, who were not on a regular orbit, but were whizzing all over the place. And by coming close to the Earth, they were destroying things. That's why Mars is the war giver. So the amazing thing is that Velikovsky's world famous for saying all that. He started in the 1950s, but Beaumont had already written about it in the 1940s and doesn't get much mention on that front. So it's an interesting side point. Right, the ancient Egyptians were Irishmen, although I dispute that because I've just read Great Deception, which is his last book, where he summarises a lot of his work. And actually, he makes Egypt in Wales. And I'm hoping Marco is going to watch this tonight, because Marco is a very interesting character. And if you look on YouTube, his channel, I think, is called, I'll look it up, put it in the description, but it's Marco Silurius 2020, I think he's got his channel, or Marco 2020. I'm a bit vague because YouTube keeps shutting him down for various reasons, and you have to keep finding the latest name of his new channel. But he has, it's something that I was reluctant to put on this channel earlier, because I actually first met Marco 2-3 years ago probably, and he has this sort of channeling where he's got no real academic background. He's a doorman. He doesn't claim to be an intellectual or anything like that, but he keeps getting delivered this information on his constant download, which he can't understand. I used to panic him a bit, like, what on earth's going on? And he tries to share that information. A lot of it seems very, very strange. And after sort of 10 minutes with him, I was thinking, what on earth is going on here? And then 3 hours later, I'm thinking, wow. So I don't know how to present it in a way, because the responsibility you have on his channel is Wilson and Blackett's work is to present it as academic work. Otherwise, you start putting these other things in, it makes it very easy for people to attack you and cause you bonkers and rubbish the other work by association. But primarily, I'm a reporter, and I have to report what I see. And more what he says, Marco stands up remarkably. And one of the things is this idea, Comyns Beaumont, of the British coming from Britain and going out there to populate large parts of the world, and that Britain actually came first. So for one of the things which is very similar, if not the same, to what, and I don't think Marco's ever read any Comyns Beaumont. For example, the people of Perth became the Persians. Marco has Egypt in Cornwall, and he ties in the corn braids of the hair and the wall. Comyns Beaumont's got Egypt in Wales. And I was reading this thinking, a lot of this rings incredibly true what Marco was saying. So it's a slight, I don't know, what does your brain think when all these things start coming together? So there we go. So hell is to be found in Western Scotland. That's not quite right. That's a very misleading comment, that is. The Greek hero Achilles spent his childhood in the Isle of Skye. That must be one of the earlier books which I can't get hold of. Galilee was in Wales, where Jesus was born. I think he's changed that slightly. He's got Jesus born in Somerset. Wales seems to disappear from a lot of his work. But it is interesting that he puts that there. And ancient Athens was in reality Bath, England. Now this is where it ties in a lot with, which struck me immediately, it ties in with Fomenko's work, where Fomenko says there was no ancient Athens. And if you remember, I did the show 2-3 weeks ago, showing you the photographs of Athens in the 1840s, and how they just went in there, the Elgins and people like that, and destroyed anything which didn't seem to fit this narrative. This is why the Hadrian's Wall example is so good again, because what happened in that era, the early 19th century, the 1820s and 30s particularly, they felt at complete liberty to recreate this fantasy, I would call it, this fantasy of ancient times. It was around about 1707, after we had the coup in 1688, where the old British kings were kicked out, and the bankers took over and brought their puppet kings in from the continent, William, Mary, Anne, and then the Hanoverians. That the history got changed and had to be rewritten, and they had a free hand. And one of the curious things they did was because they're deleting all the British history, was introduce the classics. And this is where we get into the bigger picture that I'm trying to pull together over the last few months now. Is at the heart of a lot of it is then the writing of, well, you've got to keep going back to the Renaissance, which is where Fomenko describes how a lot of this ancient Greek and Roman history was invented. Maybe that's a bit too strong. It was shifted. So what you would do is, for example, the campaign Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great, they were their pikes, just like Renaissance pikes. And if you follow his campaign route, there's an almost identical campaign route in Renaissance times. The whole thing about the Italian city-states fighting each other, the birth of Rome. Well, they put Rome starting in the 14th or 15th century. And the main city was Florence, Firenze. So this battling between the city-states is actually Renaissance events, copied and pasted back into ancient times. To stay with the Windows kind of jargon, the Greek history was cut and pasted, some of it, because if you go in your history books between, say, the 9th and 14th centuries, there really is no Greek history. It's all gone. Nothing happened there. Why did nothing happen? Or did it happen, but it's been shifted back in history? Now, as Fomenko says, this does not mean nothing happened before, say, 1000 AD, but it's not what we're told happened, which is largely shifted into the distant past. Now, what Fomenko doesn't seem aware of, or wouldn't have been aware of, is the work of people like Comyns Beaumont and Alan Wilson, whereby they build up a different narrative of saying this is what did happen. And they got physical evidence to back it up. You got the names of places, and in Wales, you're lucky we got old stones with writing on them. Same in Scotland. England, it's more difficult because so much has just been ploughed through and destroyed. The history's been long gone. So you can fill in these gaps that Fomenko says are just blanks. They're just blanks. Now, curiously, old Fomenko, so getting back to Slight's work. Now, this is where I get into dangerous territory, because the problem with this kind of history is that you can get labelled very quickly. Hang on a second. So, let's look. Graham King's story is Jesus was the king of the kings, the Druids. Could well be. We've got Alan Rees, P.J. Zuber. The Scythians are fighting with the Syrian Empire and went near Egyptian border. So Pharaoh asked them to leave and not to come any further. Egypt had no issues with Scythians. Yeah, all this is being moved into Britain if we go with Comyns Beaumont. Anyway, the chat's going on with there. I'm too difficult for me to keep up with it. Right. This is the kind of comment which gets you in trouble. So let's hope it doesn't get me in trouble. This is the kind of difficulties you get, right? This is one of his famous quotes. It's mentioned in the introduction of his book. The editors picked this out rather than just me. So all the relations and uprisings of the ancient Jews in their contacts with the Romans could only be properly resolved and understood, I contend, when the entire sphere of activity is transferred to ancient Britain. This is at the centre of all of it and why it's so controversial and so forbidden. This is the nuts of it, if you like. So what he's saying is that the key to his whole thesis is that the Jews were in Britain, and that a big part of the British population are the original Jews. This is what it comes down to. And the battles and the wars that you read about, the Jewish wars. And there's one thing which has always struck in my mind when you look at, I was a big fan, I've been a massive history buff with Rome, by the way. I'd take anyone on conventional mainstream Roman history. I'm not just knocking this from nowhere. I've spent many years studying Roman history. And one of my favourite characters is Vespasian, and him plus his son Titus. You'll notice that and Paulinus, they jump back and forth between fighting battles in Britain, and next thing you know, they're all the way over across fighting battles in Judea and Israel, Jerusalem, places like that, the campaign to destroy Jerusalem. And it always struck me as a little bit weird how they could just whiz the whole length of the... I always used to think, how long it took them to get there? How long would it take to sail from, say, battling on the Welsh border, down the Severn, across to Europe, across the peninsula, across the Mediterranean? It's got to take a few months, and the orders would take probably a couple of weeks to get to them. It's not easy. They're complete opposite ends of the Mediterranean, both extremes of the Roman Empire, as we're presented to us. So it seems very weird you'd have the same people appearing at both extremities, rather than... So what he argues is that the reason is because those battles and wars took place in Britain, with Jerusalem being what is now called Edinburgh. And he provides a lot of evidence to support that. And I like to do some videos on it. The whole geography matches Edinburgh far more than it matches desolate site of Jerusalem. The site is on a hill rather than flat. Right, so we get to really controversial stuff here, okay? And so despite the fact that the modern Jew has only in very rare cases any of the blood of ancient Judah, the belief persists that Israel is the ancient home of the Jewish people and the ancient conflict carries on there by proxy. Pretty heavy stuff, eh? This is something I've now added. Those quotes are from the introduction, okay? They're highlighted by the editor and the author rather than me. Right, the great catastrophe in question, the comet and all those other things we talked about, the then highly civilized world in the throes of a great war was smitten by a cometary body, or to be more correct, by two cometary bodies, one of which collapsed over a large part of the British Isle with the most violent and tragic results. And this refers to the sinking of Atlantis and a vast swathe of the Atlantic part of Britain being destroyed. And also, as I mentioned earlier when I was saying about the wind farms, this sea came in from the west. So Ireland, the areas around Ireland, it's just all in the sea now. Wales, Western England, Western Scotland got really battered. So Britain was the original Atlantis of Plato, and from the adjoining regions. Now this is where it gets into really controversial areas. Even I have problems with this bit, which is this whole idea about the Aryan race, the first founders of civilization, and men of great energy and inventive faculties, among other qualities. All right. You see, this gets into the really rough stuff now, okay? So I perhaps put disclaimers on my video, or YouTube will shut me down forever. I'll have someone knocking on my door or something. And these, that's what it's saying, the original Aryans, this blonde Nordic people, were the sons of Adam, the titans of Greek tradition. Now, where this becomes, this is where the clash really starts with Wilson and Blackett. Because what they do here is they what's the right word? The transfer, anyway. The idea is, let's put it the other way. The idea is that there were always Angles and Saxons and Nordic people living in Britain. And they included sort of an empire, including Scandinavia. So they didn't arrive. There was no Anglo-Saxon invasion as such. They didn't arrive in the 6th century or 7th century. They've been here for 1,000 years. Sort of Francis Pryor type angle. Now look at this character. This is the kind of people that get you in trouble, this is. Because this splendid looking chap here, Wadell, I eventually found that despite all that, I'll tell you about him in a minute, because this getting some dangerous territory here. Is anyone complaining? Is anyone going to sort of storm off in a huff? If you're going to do it, just do it. I eventually found that despite all that has been, this channel is hidden history, all right? Well, the work by these people has all been hidden, right? I'd never heard of this guy. I think I probably just got his name wrong. Let's see when his thing comes up at the bottom. I eventually found that despite all that has been written about the vast antiquity of civilization in India, there was absolutely no trace of any higher civilization in India before the 7th century BC. So he is saying that there was no Indus Valley going back like 5,000-10,000 years or something. What he's saying is that the Aryans turned up and they did all this kind of stuff. Okay. Historical India, like historical Greece, suddenly burst into view about 600 BC in the pages of Buddhist literature in the Mahabharat epic. L.A. Wadell. Okay, who's this chap? We'll have to have a quick look at Mr. Wadell. Oh my goodness. Not sure we should have gone here really, but there we are. We're in now. In for a penny, in for a pound, eh? So here's Laurel Wadell. Look at his name. Look at that lot. Wow. He was one military guy. He's fought. Incredible life, whatever you think of him politically and stuff. An absolutely incredible man. Oh wow, there's a picture of him in action there. Oh, that's better. Wow, that's a bizarre picture, isn't it? Right, okay. Oh, that reminds me. Sorry to jump slightly back. Hadrian's Wall, challenge for everyone. Need to find any old photographs. Because Bob, who is the research king, hasn't found any photographs of Hadrian's Wall before about the 1940s when they're repairing them. How weird is that? Got photographs here back to 18 whatever. Those pictures I showed of Athens from the 1860s. I've got another picture, which I won't be doing tonight now because I won't get to it, about the pyramids from the 1860s, how the Sphinx has changed since then. Some skullduggery has been going on with the pyramids and that. Oh man, that's a big story. There's so much fakery going on there. But curiously, no old pictures of Hadrian's War at all. I mean, you think the craze in Victorian times to doing watercolours and stuff, and a lot of it was underground, buried, I realise that, but there's nothing. So what actually could they see? How much wall was there before it was rebuilt? Please, have a look, do your Google searches, get your old books out, all that kind of stuff. See if you can find any old photographs, even from the early 20th century, from 1920s or something, of Hadrian's War. It seems like more deception than con is going on. Right, anyway, this chap, incredible life, okay, old school. Professor of chemistry, pathology, he's a surgeon, he was a soldier, he's got his various medals for campaigns and fighting, did books on history of civilization. He studied Sumerian, he didn't even start learning Sumerian until he was 62 years old, okay? So none of us got any excuse. He became an expert, he never even started it before he was 62. Also Sanskrit, he studied the ancient Indian histories. He more or less started a lot of Indian history going, so he had a massive contribution. He got into huge problems though because he attacked Tibetan Buddhism, what he calls Lamaism, which I'm not going to get into. I'll definitely get shut down. But anyway, you can read about him yourself. He found loads of interesting stuff. He did archaeology in India. He found loads of history. Did some amazing stuff, really. There's amazing stuff, but his views are totally unacceptable, and he's considered to be, right-wing, racist kind of thing. Okay, this is interesting here. I'll give you an idea. Wadell's contemporaries reviewed the book very negatively, which is this one. This is a little bit about him. So according to Wadell, the unknown script, he translated the Newton Stone up in Scotland, or part of it, but not the part that's in Welsh, if you like. And then he regarded Brutus, the Brutus migrations we look at, he regarded that as a historical figure, which is not allowed, it's verboten. So the coming of the Britons, but he calls them Aryans, and this is where the disagreement comes in, because where I think, where Wilson Blackett would stand on this is that they were Semitic, they were from the Middle East. The problem is, as much as there's some good stuff in there, they seem to have a real racist problem with the idea of British people being Semitic, or Jews, or from the Middle East, or anything like that, or from Egypt. They had to come from the north. This is where it gets a little bit, how much is ideology and how much is evidence and history, okay? I think you should discuss these things. This is what annoys me in the modern world. You can't discuss things without being labelled something. I'm saying I agree with this guy or anything. But anyway, here we go. So he said about Brutus, and also then, contrary to the general opinion of historians, Wadell accepts as authentic the Chronicle of Geoffrey of Monmouth. Or Griffith ap Arthur, as we call him. Yeah, British history actually says British history is correct. It's British history. It's not allowed. And regards as historical the legend of King Brute of Troy, having reached Britain with his followers about the year 1100. So he's going, it's interesting because that 1100 date is the date Marshall is heading towards the Trojan War, the Trojan War with Imman Wilkins, about 1100. So that's a crucial year because normally we say Brutus came about 500 BC. I'll tell you what Fomenko says about Brutus in a minute. So he founded London a few years later and spread through the land Phoenician culture, religion and art. His views indeed are so unorthodox, like that's a bad thing, that he has no doubt prepared for strong criticism. and even ridicule. Yeah, well, I agree, I'm prepared for that all the time. It doesn't bother me a bit. King Brute of Troy has long been relegated to the company of old wives' tales. So they don't analyse his research or how he came to looking at brutes and the migration, but it's old wives' tales, it's nonsense, okay? Same thing there, he did loads of research, loads of field work, lots of places. He pointed out, what they didn't like as well was he pointed out some terrible acts of cruelty and things that were going on as part of the culture there, which has been automatically labelled as not acceptable in the modern world. Okay, so he did translation, he learned Sumerian. I wouldn't necessarily agree with his translations, but fair play to him. He definitely had a go and is worth finding out more about. And I really would, if anyone's got access to one of his books or a PDF of them or something, I imagine they're all censored and won't be able to get hold of them. But if you can, I don't know, are we allowed to read these books now? I don't know. We're in a strange world now, aren't we? Because I know with looking for the Comyns Beaumont's books, because I want to read more of those, is that on one of them, the Google books or the Google search that Angie was using to try and find it, it actually said a warning came up and said not available, misleading information. So they've done our thinking for us. We don't need to read the book out. Sorry, Andy's teasing me there behind the camera. And yeah, so they've done the thinking for us. You don't need to read the books. You haven't got to analyse them or do your thinking or look at the evidence or see what the sources are. It's just misinformation, okay? So here's a couple little bits about Egypt is Wales, and this comes from Ezekiel 29. I just picked this out. I can't go through the whole of his book. I want to spend more time talking about Comyns Beaumont, but I mean, good grief, 25 to 10 already. Right, so, and the land of Egypt shall be desolate and waste. This is a Sunday, let's have a bit of Bible, shall we? And they shall know, I'll put my Welsh preacher voice on, and they shall know that I am the Lord, because he hath said, the river is mine, and I have made it. Behold, therefore I am against thee, and against thy rivers, and I will make the land of Egypt utterly waste and desolate. So what Comyns Beaumont says is happening here. He's talking about the comet and the floods and the destruction of the west coast of Britain and Wales, which is also what we get in the Mabinogi about the origin tales. This is the same story as in the Bible. So is Egypt referring to Wales? From the Tower of Syene through the border of Ethiopia, which is where I thought the island bit was, but there you go. No foot of man shall pass through it, nor foot of beast shall pass through it, neither shall it be inhabited 40 years. Marco's talked about this. The land was flooded in very ancient times, and people had to leave Wales for 40 years. And I'll just throw in the other thing that Marco said. What Marco said, those who didn't leave remained Romain. They became the Romans. That gets very strange. Anyway, I'll make the land of Egypt desolate in the midst of the countries that are desolate, and her cities among the cities that are laid waste shall be desolate 40 years. And I will scatter the Egyptians among the nations, and will disperse them through the countries, which could be the Jewish diaspora or the British diaspora. But this is, I don't know how you decide on it. This is when you have to read the book and go through all the details of the argument and see how Comyns Beaumont builds his argument on that. Now, I should get out a map up here. It's like, no, it's getting a bit dark, isn't it? You'll be able to see me soon. So what he say? Going back to the main thrust of the argument, then. So what has happened is he makes a very good argument for Jerusalem being Egypt. I think it's I might get this slightly out of order, but I think it's Antioch is Lincoln, and then you've got these other great cities all around Britain. And he explains Ermine Street and Watling Street. All these things are pre-Roman. He then explains in great detail. This is where it gets weird. I want this idea of people stuck in paradigms, okay? And we've all got to be very aware of this. To my reading of the book, he spends the first third of the book really destroying the image that the Romans built everything in Britain, and that British history is much older. And that these things, that the roads and the castles and the walls and the cities and the civilization and the chariots and all this kind of stuff was all there well before the Romans turned up. But then he still goes on then to talk about how the Romans did everything. It's weird. It's like a mental block. Because he then goes on to use all the Roman sources and talk about the Roman history and how the Roman battles. And they do some really weird things then because, I don't know, I think my analysis of it, I think this is where I feel like the Aryan thing is running too strong in his mind because he can't seem to have with a lot of writers, they get a really good idea, convincing evidence, make a good argument, and it works really well. Like his argument for Jerusalem being Edinburgh, very powerful, and York being an ancient city, very powerful. The Lincoln thing, all those arguments are really strong, and you really have to think about it. And I recommend reading the book, and we'll talk more about his work. And that really is a Britain's hidden history. It's amazing. And a lot of things make more sense as well. Like, for example, when we talk about... I just thought of this now. Jeez, when did I think of this before? When we do the book... Hang on. Okay, I got my setup. I like it again now. This book where Jesus is buried, which I, as you know, I published that for Wilson and Blackett, which tells the story of Jesus coming to Wales after the crucifixion, and all the traces you can see of that, and where the tomb is, and how Christianity began in Britain and it spread from there. Well, in the Bible and other analysis, it talks about Jesus fleeing to Egypt. And if you look at the missing years, as they're called, of Jesus' life, again, he's supposed to have spent that in Egypt. You know, in the Bible, you have the story of the birth and very young, and it's also the moment where he presents to the elders when he's probably about 12 or something. And you got this big, massive period where was he? Presumably not where the Romans are trying to kill him. This is when these get difficult, and you always different multiverse stuff, running different streams. But what we're trying to do now, and the challenge for you as well, you have to think a bit as well now, is if we've got... Well, for a start, who are the Romans is a big question that comes to my mind. Who are they? Who is mentioned in the Bible, and why? Is it the Etruscans? It gets really complicated. But when Egypt gets moved, everything becomes a lot easier. But for some reason, Comyns takes things too far and tries to, I think, move too much into Scotland. So, as the most glaring example is, he seems unaware of Wales in a way, because the one comment in there that, like, for example, Caerleon. No, there's a good example. Caerleon, or Caerleon as it's usually called. Caerleon on the east coast of Gwent. Hang on, let's bring it on a map. That'll probably help. Help make the point here a second. Hang on. Now, what Comyns Beaumont does, he moves that stupid browser from Wales, where he says it's on a strategically map. Caerleon. Here we go. What did we do before the internet, eh? It is useful. No thanks, I don't want an update, and I don't want anything like that, and I don't want your adverts either. Thank you very much. Right, okay, I need to show this quickly, because Caerleon is here. Alright, it's a little bit complicated as to where the actual Roman part was, because that's actually Isca, which is slightly different. But anyway, for the time being, we'll have it here. It's near enough. Which is a controlling of the Severn, River Severn. And if you are trading in those days of the Mediterranean, this was the major trade route. You know, the Severn, and even in the Industrial Revolution, if you look where the Industrial Revolution started, up in the top end, Staffordshire and that, in Colville, all these places, it's the Severn was the major artery, more than the Thames even. Because from there you come out, and this is why you have the links of Brittany, which always amuses me, Asterix and the Gauls, because it's a Britain bit, so they're Britons. The Gauls are Britons, and he even refers to them as Britons last night. They slipped out. There's a few little hidden messages in these films and cartoons, aren't there? Like they got the Druids' forests in Karnak in the film, which like you got the Egyptian words, and also you got this the stone area here. Some weird stuff in there. Why do they have gold sickles? All that. Anyway, so if you look at the trade route, this is the trade route down through there. They probably cut across and you're into the Mediterranean, or what's supposed to be the more dangerous Phoenician route around here. And this is the border here. This is the sort of you got the Severn. This is the way in out of this. This is the centre of everything. But Comyns Beaumont won't have that at all. He says this is just strategically irrelevant. It's just some small Welsh town in the middle of nowhere, basically. He's quite disparaging. Well, it's fair enough, but... and he wants to put that in Edinburgh. And he actually moves the Silures and says, yes, there are some Silures down here, but the main Silures centre is in Edinburgh, which is rather interesting. So I think this... I'm starting to get a feeling the chronology's messed up in that we're talking here about the Britons, maybe. The Silures being the Britons. But also, because Comyns Beaumont says he sort of says the Silurians as the Jews as well. So that you can feel a picture, it's just not very clear. So we need to think a bit. So in this area, the Silurians get moved to there, and Craddock gets moved there, and basically everything gets moved there. Even when he talks about the Battle of the Isle of Mon, or Anglesey, sorry. I was thinking Welsh then. There we go. Dinas Mon, the Angel's Head, look. Even though he says the battle was there, yeah, but it's still to do with what's going on in Scotland. It's like an obsession to put everything there. Now suddenly his story makes a lot more sense if you say, okay, well, if you've got Jerusalem here, and we've got Antioch, wherever it is there, and then we've got Lincoln, which is around here somewhere, I think. Where's Lincoln? Or is Boston? Yeah, there it is. I wasn't far off. So you've got Boston, all these places. He talks about Derby. He talks about Leicester, the spine and the road coming down. There are other events. On Google, it looks like there's nothing there. There's not a lot there, mind, is there? And the same with Cornwall, There's more events down there. There's more things to bring in. And I think it's about time if Marco, you're watching this, I'll give you a call anyway. It's about time we started showing some of the things you were showing, which some of it fills in the gaps of Comyns Beaumont, which is weird beyond compare. I don't know where to go with it. And one thing I would like to say, the last under experiment, I should rehearse this. Never do rehearsing in public. My old dad always said to me, and I'm going to do it now though, because he says sadly he says, because don't forget the Bible story's been moved here. Okay, so Jerusalem is now here, and then you got all these different areas, and again this ties in with Hadrian's Wall, which would be, hang on, yeah, there's Newcastle. It's about here on the narrow point, around there roughly. There's a dotted line there, don't be confused by that. That's the border, not the wall. Just check that. The wall is around about there. Anyway, with the banks being behind the walls, maybe the wall was built by the Scots to keep out the people from the south. Yeah, how about them onions? Because the wall seems the wrong way around. Because you've got the ditches behind the wall instead of in front of it. And if you read the book, which Sally kindly sent me, they explain this by saying the purpose of the ditches was to delineate a very clearly military zone so civilians wouldn't know to wander into it. I mean, it's just, how do they get away with ideas like this? I mean, it's just absolute madness. And the idea that a 4-foot wall would there we are. It's like this, like the other mad one I saw the other day was showing that the British hill forts, they're not really hill forts, they were ditches built to keep the livestock in, such as goats. like the greatest climbers in the whole of nature, they can actually climb up the sides of sheer dams and things, and yet this ditch is going to stop them. They say the same thing about the dikes up on St. Geneth. Don't forget, sign the petition, save St. Geneth, or Eglwys technically it's Eglwys Common, but everyone calls it St. Geneth. It's confusing. But the dikes built there, they claim, were to mark out the edge of the Norman castle in Caerphillion to keep his livestock in. It's most expensive, ridiculous work. It's a major, major work. Anywhere else in the world, it'd be celebrated, like the Great Wall of China or something, like the Great Dyke. There's more of the dyke visible and is bigger than Hadrian's Wall. And they got a bloody wind farm on it, It was up in Hadrian's Wall, which is nothing there at all, just completely built a new wall and protected it. It's a World Heritage Site. It's a World Heritage Site. The other one, anyway, sorry, calm down, Ross. Stay on track. Oh, where's Arnie gone as well? We need to do our big duet to finish soon. Where's my music? Warning now. Early warning. I am going to be singing soon. Oh, my voice has gone a bit tonight. Okay, so the sad thing he says at the end of his book, the last paragraph, the last footnote, sadly he says, I've never been able to find Bethlehem or Nazareth. To quote Wilson and Blackett, when you get a bloody map, yeah? I haven't tried this, all right? Never do these things live. Oh, my goodness. Let's try. I know he didn't have Google Maps. He did have maps. Yeah, we got one in Clydilo. There you go. There it is. Bethlehem, look. You got Bethlehem Road, you got Bethlehem. There's old farms called Bethlehem. So maybe that is. I mean, if you're going to move the Bible to Britain, and there's Pimp Site, the 5 saints. All around here is very biblical when you look into these names. But for some reason, you want to go for that. And I'm pretty sure there's a... Oh, go on. I'm like a right idiot now. I think there's a Nazareth as well. Nazareth. Maybe not. There you are. Nazareth. We got with an S. And we got a Nazareth as well. Now these might be modern names, and all that kind of stuff, but it's well, that's more in North Wales. I thought it was down here somewhere. So anyway, when he's looking for places, I'm not saying these are the biblical Bethlehem and Nazareth. All right, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is they are there. They are on the map, and it ties in. And what I want to finish with, because I could talk all night about Comyns Beaumont. It's fascinating. I've loved reading the book. If you can get all the books, please read them. If you can get me the other books, I've got them. Britain's... not the riddle, the other one of the history books, but the rest is can't find anywhere. And seriously, if you have a look, you actually get a warning from Google, says contains misleading information. You can't even discuss different possibilities in the mainstream history. Well, that's what we do on this channel, okay? We're going to do that regardless. Because the other things that, another thing that Beaumont quotes is he quotes Leland, the historian Leland, going back to I think the 17th century, and Leland said how similar the Hebrew language was to the Welsh language. None of them, they all seem to discount the Welsh thing and the ancient British language of Cymraeg. And this is where it gets weird, because Beaumont doesn't count it at all. And he does a lot of translations and things, trying to translate ancient British words into... Sorry, some interesting comments there. Sorry. Anyway, so he tries to translate ancient British names and words using Nordic languages or Greek, which doesn't make any sense. And the translations he comes up with, are absolute nonsense. And I did one. Have I written it down? Or am I going to have to look it up again? I'll give you a fantastic one here, which I'm just going to finish with this one because it all brings everything together a bit. Was when he tries to translate Nile, which I never thought of translating Nile, which is a bit, when you think about it, I've written a book about hieroglyphs and explained Pharaoh, for example. He tries to translate the word Pharaoh doesn't come from anywhere. And one of the reasons I was reading Fomenko about Egyptian stuff in Fomenko, they can't find sources for these words. They can't translate it. What Fomenko does, he actually says there is an ancient Hebraic, he calls it, Hebraic language, Hebraic, which has sort of disappeared. It's a mystery language. And he's reading the book, screaming at it, going, "It's called Welsh, you can translate these words." And he's basically saying, we don't know what the language was. If only we knew the language. It's Britain's hidden history. It should be Britain disappeared completely history, because these historians, even the alternative historians, are not aware of each other's work for a start. They all benefit so much. So I see the next part of our project, trying to draw all this together. Right, so the Nile, which I can't even remember what he came up with. I'm just going to read. I actually made some notes for once. Here we go. I thought I had. No, and if we look at... this is going to be a little bit clumsy, because I'm going to type it as I go. Oh, hang on. I've got 1,000 documents open. That doesn't help. So bear with me a second, because then it'll help, I think. I will type it as I go. Can't get much more live than this, can you? I just can't type any numbers. Got to be careful. I'll change my screen. Let's have a bigger font so everyone can see it. Right. Okay. So we got the word Nile. Okay, River Nile. I got to throw in my Mike Tyson quote as well, because they talk about denial, and as Mike Tyson famously said, the famous boxer, denial is not just a river in South America. Okay. So right. So now a couple of ways of looking at this. I thought Nile might be interesting, because it says Nile. So Nile means a number Ni equals, as we did earlier, can be not. Remember with the snake? Nidir, not you, and not this, and not that. So it's a negative. It works on that. It can be a number. Let's give me a couple of seconds on. Can you see my music there? Can I look through the papers or something?
Just tell me when you need music.
Yeah, I need my music first. Okay, and you got Ni, another one I didn't know. If you look in the old dictionaries, this is new to me. We've got we, us. So if you think about the Welsh anthem we sang the last few weeks, or a few weeks ago, Rina Melodid, Rina Melodid. The ni in that is we, alright? N-I. So you could argue Nile, ni, isle, we, right? Okay, that's the ni there, we. And then L is a fantastic word in Welsh, as I'm sure you're aware. L can be, has in its, can people see this? Yeah. Has in itself power of motion and intelligence, a spirit. I love this word. I should put semicolons here, sorry, an angel. Okay, so we have this, and you see it in the Bible all over the place. You see El, Bethel, like Bethlehem, Bethel, the place of El, the place of the spirit, the intelligence. All right, so it's a very powerful word that comes from the Welsh language. So Nile, you could argue, and who really knows, we can't argue, Nile is we of the spirit, or we of the intelligence. Now, if Comyns Beaumont had looked at the Welsh language, he'd actually find a lot of help for his version of events. But the trouble is, he's stuck in his Nordic thing. He can't go that route. And the problem is, once you start showing on the Welsh, and the amazing thing is, what gets exciting and interesting is this links with Wales being Egypt, because we know we can read Egyptian hieroglyphs using the Welsh language. So the whole thing is, it's going to take a while, I think, for it all to sink into my brain, and I'm interested to hear what people's comments and read what people think, how this all ties together. Did they go from Wales to Egypt? Because according to Fomenko, the pyramids weren't built until at least the 14th or 15th century. See, this is the problem you get there, I know, because a lot of people, particularly those who've got questioning minds and prepared to look at alternative history, are putting the pyramids like 10,000 years, or the Sphinx 20,000 years ago, and all to his Sothic cycles and all these kind of things. Comyns Beaumont does this as well, uses Sothic cycles, which Wilson and Blackett show don't work, and I agree with them. If you suddenly say, oh, the pyramids are only 400 years old, 300 years old even, then you get the alternative side gets upset. And this is where you find yourself stuck in the middle. You've got the mainstream won't look at any of this. And you've got those people who want everything to be super ancient aliens and stuff. They won't look at it either. So you're sort of in the middle, following the evidence. So, but there's another thing I thought I'd look up while I was at it. This gave me a little bit of a surprise, all right? Because in Welsh you always get dual meanings, you see? Things always mean different things. And there's a word nill. This is the nearest I could find to Nile, all right? Look at this. This word is brilliant. All right, let's make sure I get it right now. Let's have a look. Yeah. I know what this means in modern Welsh. I only use the old dictionaries. To be overreaching, to augment. Well, think about that. What does the Nile do every year? Every year, the Nile. We're back into Egypt now, not Wales. But anyway, let's just go with the Nile as it is. What do you get that? Well, every year it floods, doesn't it? It floods over the land. I would call it overreaching, and it augments the soil. It fertilizes the soil. It overreaches and augments. I mean, it couldn't be a better word to describe the Nile, really, because when he looks at the Nordic thing and he translations with whatever language they're using, they come up with Nile meaning blue or black. But hang on a second, you got the blue Nile and the black Nile. So you're saying the word is blue, blue, and black, black. This makes more sense, and even better, or as good, not better, you can't get better than that. Oh, Nithla, sorry. Nithla. Sorry, yeah, I got the wrong way around. Nithla is to be overreaching to augment, is the sort of noun, if you like. Nithla. Nith, is what tends to gain upon, upon, or to encroach. So how cool is that? I mean, is this the annual flood? It's a wonderful translation, isn't it? So there we go. I'm going to stop there tonight. Look at this. Great loads of comments. Wales are Egypt, probably part of the same empire, same language. Seems to be. I was born in Cambridge, slightly east of the river. I found it fossilized. Cambridge, yes. Sorry, this is scrolling off the page so fast, the comments. But yes, very interested in... what have I done? What have I done, Zav? Phew, technical support. Thank you. Nina. So I'm trying to see the name of the person from Cambridge, because Cambridge is where we've got the Battle of Troy. You see it in. I'm sure you're aware of Eamon Wilkins, about once where stood Troy. If you search into the videos, if you type in Troy, it should probably come up, or Cambridge Troy, you'll see more about that, about Gog and Magog. It's all near the university, and you can't get them to even look at it. Queen Tyre is red-haired, and she's on display. Yep, they got these Irish connections, Scottish connections. So why are they in Egypt? So Theo, yes. Yes, you're right, Cambridge. Yeah, I'm glad you're here, because just want to make it very clear, this is not just a Welsh channel, right? It's not at all. It's the whole of Britain, Ireland, and in fact we go further afield than that, to New Zealand, Australia, all sorts of things. All right, okay, so I think I have to stop there tonight. It's just about got past the introduction, really. There's so much more about Comyns Beaumont I want to talk about, but I think it's enough for one little marathon here. 10 o'clock. Oh my goodness, you got school tomorrow, Zev. Can you get Arnie back in? I was going to play the guitar tonight. Zev, can you get Arnie, please? Can you see my music? Oh, where's it gone? It was there. I was playing it. Yeah, I played it yesterday. Oh no! No, you might be saved, folks. Oh no, you're not. No, you're not. Ha ha ha! Come on. We practice arrangement. Bore is tied in Welsh, no morning, same as English morrow. Okay, all right. More comments. Right, well, there you go, folks. It's been 126 online right now as well, and we got one little song. I hope it's still in tune. Are we in tune with each other on? We'll find out, won't we? This one, Who Will Follow a Boy, yeah? Remember, we actually practiced yesterday. We practiced for once. I know it's cheating, isn't it?
No, you got some of that. The rest of us couldn't.
No, it's my cake, I was told.
Yeah, the rest of us weren't allowed.
Oh, you weren't allowed it. Ha 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 ha. But it's Father's Day, it's my cake. Father's Day is my cake. Right, little introduction to the song. So we like little Roman history is fake from start to beginning. Yeah, right, the questions I want to ask, so sign the petition, of course. Watch the videos about, there's a whole playlist about devastation of wind farms, but that's the political bit out the way. And trying to get my head around, I'd like people to think about and help me and suggest what they think as well, is when did people go from Wales to Egypt? And if they built the pyramids in medieval times, what was going on there? That all seems weird. Anyway, got a lot more to put together, right? Because there's a lot of good stuff in Comyns Beaumont, which I can't really question, which seems very convincing to me. Of course, you question everything. That Wadell bloke had some interesting things to say. Fomenko, his work on chronology, is brilliant. But in the same way as Comyns Beaumont is trying to get everything into Jerusalem and Scotland, Fomenko is trying to make everything Russian. So he's saying that Egypt was the burial ground for the Russian emperors, the Tsars, from Mongolia or the steppes. So he's saying they bring the bodies all the way to Egypt. But then you got the problem of there being no actual bodies in the pyramids. And he can't read the hieroglyphs. I've got to do a hieroglyphs thing next week, because Fomenko's comments about the Hebraic language, now they can't read them, and how academia treats the hieroglyphs, and all, I was stunned to read it. And I was saying, if I could get hold of that Fomenko bloke, if someone could track him down, if he's still alive, I'll send him a copy of my book and see what he thinks of that. Right, anyway, so on a brighter note now, this is going to be the forthcoming musical, which you're writing. Been a busy couple of weeks, as you can see, but the musical is going to come along. The technical problem this week, the computer's lost all the music. I've managed to find this old printout. It's got one of the songs. So the rest I'm going to have to write again from the recordings. It's about King Arthur. We'll do more Arthur stuff soon as well. All the ancient stuff is kind of gripping me at the moment. And the idea of the song is, and by the way, most people say all musicals are a bit lowbrow or whatever. I would say, have you ever read the book Les Miserables by Victor Hugo, isn't it? It's wonderful. I read it. It's brilliant. It's an absolute page turner. It was written as a weekly series. It's in a weekly newspaper publication thing. So every chapter is a cliffhanger, so you come back and buy another copy the next week. It's stunning. How many of you have read that book? I bet not many, not being rude or anything. How many people in Britain do you think have read that book and know about the 1830s revolutions and the barricades and all that? Not very many. How many people have watched the musical? Eh? So think about that. Anyway, so this is, sorry, I'm getting a nag in the hurry up from Arnie. So what we're going to do now is young Arthur, he's 15 years old, he's been thrown command of the armies. And he's thinking, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Who's going to follow me? How am I going to convince these grizzled old warriors that I'm now in charge and we've got to stick together and fight? Alright, you going to do an introduction on? See if I can sing. Are you going to play us in on? Who will follow a boy, even a king? Yesterday my sword's just a toy. I was late, sorry. We'll start again. Sorry again, I was a bit late then.
This is like 2 days.
I know, Arnie, no timing. I can't do timing, alright?
Like 2 days.
I had to lead the singing in the chapel for years. And I missed the beat every week. The old organist, and 70 odd years old, 80 odd, every week he'd be like banging the keys, counting me in. Alright, I got to be a little bit quick. I think I was going slower than you, I think. Go on, start again. Go on. Go on. Take 2. Don't lose hope. Thanks, Theo. Who will follow a boy? I'm not even a king. Today my sword was just a toy. Didn't worry about a thing. War was just a game. My life will never be the same. Into this world I have been thrust. Who can I trust? Will follow a boy. I must become a man. We cannot be destroyed. Are everything I can. I'll turn off again. War was just a game. My life will never be the same. Into this world I have been thrust. Who can I trust? Who will follow a boy? How will they understand? Together is our only ploy. United we must stand. Give it a big finish. United. I think we'll do a big finish. Oh, I can do the chorus, eh? Don't swear. Oh, of course. War was just a game. My life will never be the same. Into this world I have been thrust. Who can I trust? Who can I trust? I'm the writer, not the performer, okay? Thank you, Arnie. Just because Arnie's the pro there. Anyway, you write a song, Arnie, come on. Alright, so we got most of the songs done and everything. I'm just going to get it done. So I'm going to write them again now. So that's what you got to remember with musicals, alright? A lot of people do like them and watch them. I'm going to have a venue. Right, so just a quick recap on some of the things that are coming up. After you go back, or if you're watching this on replay or something, please put in the comments, yeah, I'd like to come along for a day or 2 days or a whole week of exploring a site. And I will reveal near the time what the site's going to be. It'll be in Gwent. So it's quite near the English border. It should be easy to get to. I'll be able to ferry people back and forth from, I guess it'd be Newport train station, or anyway, don't worry about details, alright? I don't want to put the name of the site because unfortunately not everybody is necessarily on our side during this project, and it might make things difficult for us, so it'll be easier. And I haven't got a date or anything yet, but if you think it sounds a good idea, let me know. Also, look at the idea, Hugh Evans, who's doing some fantastic presentations. I think it might be now live on the Megalithomania YouTube channel. I'm going to have a look at that. And he's done the whole discovery of the Zodiac up in the Gwynedd Mountains, which ties in with the Comyns Beaumont stuff brilliantly, because with his work and the Bible stuff he mentions, it does tie, although he's not aware of the Gwynedd Zodiac, but he does talk about who would be Hugh Gadarn and how he's given the gift of the Zodiac, and he ties this in with Prometheus. He does everything but actually realise it's all in the Mabinogi, what Comyns Beaumont is trying to describe, and what Hugh Evans has beautifully discovered. and he's done a lot of work on that. So we thought we'd do some sort of presentation where Hugh would do a bit and I would do a bit, so it wouldn't just be me. In fact, I'd rather it wasn't me at all. We got other people, like get Bob Morgan up there and some others to do some presentations, but definitely myself and Hugh. All right, so that'll come up again. I think M4 corridor is probably the easiest. Most people, whether in England or Wales or from up north, I can't, we'll try something up there as well. So please, and sign the petition, which is in the description. Right, I'm going to have a quick look at the comments before I go. Right, thank you very much. Bedtime for you lot, after 10 o'clock. Good boys, thank you very much. You did a great job on production. Thank you. He's falling asleep here. Oh, you poor thing. Go on, up you go, darling. Yeah, I bet you do. Go on, up you go. Yeah, we're finished now. Yeah, I'm just going to just close down. Yeah, North Star all. I have to have a quick look at some of the comments. Great live stream. Thank you, PJZ. Yeah, Troy Town. Yeah, we got a couple of... yeah, he moves New Troy to York as well. And thank you, nice... Oh, David, there we go. North Star, but yes, diolch yn fawr. Yes, well done, David, as well. Good to see you on there. I'm glad I didn't see you earlier. Right. Okay, lots of names. Good, and I've liked the music too. All right. I don't claim to be a musician. But give it a go, innit? Give it a go. Right, okay, there's so many comments in that. Well, good night, everyone. And thank you for being with us. Everyone's still online. Fantastic. It's been a long show tonight. Have a great week. I'm going to have to get more videos up during the week because we're just not covering anything, and there's some more exploring videos coming up. So until next week, I've got no one to put the thing over the screen. It's got to make do with me. Okay. And thank you again, David Sospenbach, those amazing finds, and Michael J Romanko for getting the article into that newspaper. If you've got any contacts, I will write the copy of many words needed and send it off. It's the best way to get the word out there. All right. So God bless everyone. Peace. Next time, Heddwch. Wrong button. Oh, man. There you go. There we go. All right. Well, I'll leave the comments open a little bit longer, but I will be going upstairs and getting my little babies into bed. So I shall turn this off if I could find the right button to do it.